PNC Bank cancels its business relationship with Donald Trump Jr. Because they don't like him. I mean, they're not saying there was anything done inappropriate in the account. They just don't like him. Now, our good friend John Rich is with us, of course, tremendous entertainer, musician, songwriter, businessman. And John, talking about businessman, you decided to take on the cancel culture with our friend Ben Carson and Larry Elder head on, really. Tell us what you did with Old Glory Bank.
Well, thanks for having me on. Yes, so I think this Don Jr. story it reinforces why it's so important to have a new alternative platform for banking. So Dr. Ben Carson, Larry Elder, and a bunch of other patriotic banking institution long-term guys, all of us got together when we saw Justin Trudeau break the backs of those truckers when they were protesting by freezing their bank accounts, not only theirs, but tow truck companies that refused to pull the trucks away. They also froze their bank accounts. Now you look down in Brazil and the protesters against the Bolsonaro election, they're having their bank accounts frozen. So now you see in America this starting to happen to businesses and individuals. Don Jr. is just one example of many. So we put together a new bank. We bought a physical bank in the great state of Oklahoma. It's FDIC insured. We went through all the steps. It's like any other bank you would ever work with. However, our credo is you will never be canceled for exercising your constitutional rights. Now, the fact that you have to say something like that is quite a comment on modern day America. Yep. But it's where we're at, Jay, and I can tell you that there's a lot of people fantasize about mass canceling or mass freezing our bank accounts when they don't like what we have to say.
No, there's no question. It goes in the business arena. It goes in the banking arena. It's the weaponization of these federal agencies. Harry Hutchinson, our director of policy, John, is with us on the studio here. John mentioned Canada is kind of where all this started. You've been following that very closely.
I have, and Canada is a fantastic example of one thing, and that is it's clear beyond question that the potential for tyranny lies not at the periphery, but at the very heart of modern and postmodern experience, particularly in the West. And so individuals who challenge the bureaucracy, they face the loss of access to their bank account. And just to add to what John suggested, in Canada, if you gave as little as $50 to the truckers, they would block your access to your bank account. And so it's very, very important that there are alternative institutions out there.
Logan, and I just wanted to say, one, thank you for coming on here and talking about this, because I think a lot of us, even if you're not a person who's a known entity, a Don Jr., someone with some, like you said, if you just gave a donation or you purchased something at a gun store, I mean, that you're worried that this kind of thing could happen. You brought up alternatives. So I guess for the listener who's interested, I mean, this isn't an ad for your bank, but in somewhat it is people are nervous and they're looking for options. What's that process look like?
So if you go to oldglorybank.com, you can reserve an account. You can read all about the bank, what we stand for, who's involved in it. Personal checking goes live later this month. Small business will kick in the summer in July. And then moving on from there, listen, we've had tens of thousands of accounts already reserved on oldglorybank.com. We have to build new hills to run to, guys. The enemy owns all the hills. A lot of times we're thinking, man, I just want to run for the hills. Well, which one are you going to run to? Because the enemy owns them all. And so I want to make something clear, though. A lot of people have asked me, hey, if you guys are FDIC insured, what's to keep Old Glory Bank from not canceling my bank account when Joe Biden or whoever else tells you you have to? And what people don't understand is the bank has a choice to make. The bank can do what the government tells them to do, or the bank can tell the government to go jump in the river and I'll see you in court. And that's what Old Glory Bank is going to do. We are not going to cancel or weaponize people's accounts against them for exercising their constitutional rights.
And I would say this, John, if you ever have a situation where your bank is being threatened because of your political beliefs or your speech or your religious speech or your political speech or your First Amendment activities, you know in a heartbeat we will be there to defend the bank, to defend you, to defend the ability of Americans to have alternatives. What the left does want to do is is shut down the alternatives.
Yeah, throttle everyone.
So they can
we're saying
throttle
that.
you back, whether it's big tech, whether it's in banking, whether it's in the government agencies. This is how you have to fight back. You've got to. It's like we built alternative universities, Regent University, others, because you had to offer high academic excellence, but you also at the same time wanted to be very clear that you had a mission.
Yeah, it's why we're on Rumble now, and Rumble has tripled our numbers on every other platform that we've been on because we're being throttled on YouTube, throttled on Facebook. We know this. We could see it. It's kind of, at this point, it's undeniable that it happened because once we started moving everyone to Rumble, everyone plus decided to come back.
John, let me ask you this. The idea that you would be in the banking business, I'm sure was not in your thought process as a country music artist, legend, music artist, an entertainer. You're a businessman?
Yeah, not the plan 20 years ago.
Probably wasn't the plan 20 years ago to be in the banking business.
No, it's not. It wasn't my plan, but I'll tell you this. Here is my plan. I'm going to live as a free American man, and I want my children to be free American men, and I want our generations long after we're gone to be free. And the only way we're going to ensure our freedom, and even then it's going to be a battle, is we have got to create new alternatives and parallel economy moves like an Old Glory Bank where people have an alternative to put their money somewhere else. Listen, if they can choke you out, if they can take away your access to the money you earned and paid taxes on because they don't like what you had to say or they don't like what protest you went to or they don't like what rifle you own or whatever the hell they want to come up with for a reason to cancel your bank account. If we don't come up with alternatives, guys, we're hanging ourselves. And so we have to be forward thinkers. We have to put things together that are legitimate and that operate at a high level, just like you were talking about universities, but also have a mission of freedom. Right. We respect your constitutional rights. We will never punish you for exercising your constitutional rights.
That's right. And that is at Old Glory Bank. We were seeing a lot of people in our comments right now, because thousands of you are just watching just on Rumble or on other platforms.
Who just said, I just reserved my account.
Reserving. So hopefully, John, this helped out Old Glory Bank a little bit. I know all of us here are now very interested because, these news stories somewhat only help sell this point that these situations are needed. So, again, you can tell people, go oldglorybank.com, right?
Simple as that. Go on there, read about it, look into it. If you want to reserve an account, it's very simple. And we go live here in just a couple of weeks. So we're excited about this launch. And I think it's a really important thing to have, guys. If we don't have that, if you can't have autonomy with your own money, that's the ultimate backbreaker that the government can put on us. Just like what Justin Trudeau did, they can do it to us here.
Appreciate it, Old Glory Bank founder. There you go. Then you never thought, and there you are. We appreciate it, John.